Tractate Chagigah, General Introduction. 3 pilgrimage festivals shall you celebrate to me during the year, and you shall not appear before me empty-handed. 3 times during the year shall all your menfolk appear before the Master Hashem. Exodus chapter 23, verses 14 through 17. The Torah commands each Jewish male to go to the temple, Beis HaMikdash, 3 times a year, during the festivals of Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkos, to appear before God and make sacrificial offerings on the altar. You shall not appear before me empty-handed. 2 types of offering must be brought: an olat re'iyah, literally a burnt offering for appearance, and a shlema hagigah, literally a peace offering of celebration. See Rambam Hilchos Hagigah 1:1. As with all sacrificial offerings, these are slaughtered and their blood is applied to the walls of the altar. The meat of the orlas re'iyah is then burnt on the altar. No part of it is eaten. The meat of the Shleme Hagigah, however, is eaten by the owner of the offering, his family, and guests, and only a portion of its fats and organs are burnt on the altar. Chapter 1 teaches the rules for these obligations. Who is obligated, how much the offering must be worth, what type of money may be used to buy them, and when these offerings may be brought. Part 2, the laws of Tuma and Tahara. The last section of this tractate, from Mishnah chapter 2, Mishnah 5 onward, deals with the laws of Tuma and Tahara. Tuma is a type of impurity that attaches itself to people, utensils, and foods, under certain circumstances or as a result of special conditions. The laws of Tuma and its counterpart Tahara, purity, are scriptural decrees, whose roots are not to be comprehended through ordinary human logic and experience. See Rambam Hilchos Mikvaos 11:12. For this reason, their terminology cannot be properly translated. This necessitates using several of the Mishnah's own Hebrew terms to explain the discussions of these laws. We therefore present the following brief summary of some of the main terms and rules of the laws of Tuma. Sources of Tuma. The Torah classifies certain people and things as sources of Tuma. These include a corpse, a nevela, carcass of any dead animal other than a kosher animal that was slaughtered through shechita, a sheretz, carcass of one of the 8 species of creeping animals, i.e. rodents and reptiles, listed in Leviticus chapter 11, verses 29 through 30, a zav, a man who has an unusual type of seminal emission, a nida, menstruant woman, a zava, a woman whose menstruation occurs at abnormal times, a mitzora, a person afflicted with specific types of skin discoloration, is described in Leviticus chapter 13, a woman after childbirth, and other sources as well. Each of these primary sources of Tuma, with the exception of the corpse, is known as an Av HaTuma, literally father of Tuma. An Av HaTuma transmits Tuma to people, utensils, food, and beverages that come in contact with it. For example, by touching it. A corpse has a higher degree of Tuma, known as the Aviavos HaTuma, a type of Tuma not discussed in this tractate. The examples of Av HaTuma mentioned above are all sources of Tuma, in the sense that the Tuma originates in them as a result of their situation or condition. They have not acquired the Tuma from something else. There are, however, special situations in which a person or object can become an Av HaTuma by interacting with one of the sources mentioned above. One of these, which comes up in Mishnah 2, chapter 2, Mishnah 7, is the midrash, literally treading. An object that acquired Tuma when a zav, zava, nida, or woman after childbirth rests his or her weight upon it, such as by sitting, standing, or leaning on it. Like any other Av HaTuma, it is able to transmit Tuma to people, utensils, food, and beverages that come in contact with it. Objects that could become Tame. As mentioned above, there are 3 categories of things that could become Tame through contact with the source of Tuma. A, people. B, utensils, objects that have been fashioned to be used in some way, such as chairs, dishes, lamps, clothing, in contrast to blocks of wood or metal, or clay strands of wool, etc. C, food and beverages. The different categories are subject to different levels of Tuma, as will be explained below. The transfer of Tuma and levels of Tuma. Tuma is transmitted from an Av HaTuma to a person, utensil, or food that comes in contact with it, and these in turn have the ability to transmit the Tuma further. The Tuma weakens, however, each time it is passed on. Thus, when an Av HaTuma transmits Tuma to a person or object, here it becomes a Rishon LaTuma, first degree of acquired Tuma. This level of Tuma is too weak to transfer Tuma to people or utensils. It can transmit Tuma only to food and beverages. These in turn become a Sheni LaTuma, second degree of acquired Tuma. These terms generally abbreviated as Av, Rishon, and Sheni. A Sheni is too weak to transmit Tuma to Chulin, non-holy food, that touches it, which makes it impossible for ordinary food to possess the third degree of acquired Tuma. However, Teruma and Kodesh do have additional degrees of Tuma, though not the same number of degrees for both. Restrictions of Tuma. A person who is Tame is forbidden to enter the temple or eat or touch Teruma or Kodesh, sacrificial food. Similarly, utensils that are Tame may not be brought into the temple or into contact with Teruma or Kodesh. Purifications from Tuma. Persons and utensils can generally be purified of their Tuma through immersing in a mikveh. After immersion, the person or utensil is tahor in respect to chulin. That is, if he touches chulin, he no longer makes it tame. However, as regards to teruma, the process of purification is complete only after sunset following the immersion, nightfall. During the period from immersion until sunset, the person or object is known as a tevel yom, one who immersed that day. A tevel yom retains a certain degree of tuma, which prohibits him to enter the temple or to touch or eat teruma and kodesh, sacrificial food. His touch makes them a shlishi, third degree of acquired tuma. People who become tame as a result of an irregularity in their body condition, zav, zava, mitzor, woman after childbirth, must bring a sacrificial offering the day after immersing. During the period between the nightfall after immersion and bring their offering, they are known as mechusar kippurim, one lacking atonement. Since their purification is not yet complete, they still retain a slight degree of tuma, and if they touch kodesh, they make it revi, fourth degree of acquired tuma. Rabbinical Stringencies. The rules presented above are those that apply under biblical law. The sages, however, decreed many additional stringencies. The last section of our tractate deals mainly with several of these rabbinic decrees. These will each be explained in the proper place. The stringencies, however, cannot be understood without a clear understanding of the biblical laws we've just presented.